What is up, ladies and gents? You know what time of day it is. It's XCN time, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about XCN. We're going to be discussing what we are seeing here right now on the charts, and I'll be giving you guys my price prediction for XCN over the next few days, as well as my target for 2025, so be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit the like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to this channel. It's great to see you all here. So we're going to dive straight into this video, and of course we're going to dive into the shorter term first and foremost. So we're on the 1 hour chart right now, guys, and as you can see, the price has been pretty still here on XCN. Of course, it is a Saturday, it's the weekend, it's basically Easter weekend for us over in the West, so things are moving quite quietly at the moment, not just for XCN but for the whole crypto market. Everything is just slightly up over the past 24 hours. XCN there 0.43%, and this subtle price movement has left XCN in quite an important position. Of course, if I get my annotations back up from yesterday, these were the trend lines that we were monitoring here on the price. Of course, we had this really strong upper trend line in the shorter term here, that is, where it's been tested, as you can see, on multiple different occasions, and we had this support here on XCN as well. And of course, this pattern here that we see created by these two trend lines is a falling wedge type pattern. So we are watching this because, of course, if we do see a clear breakout from this pattern, we could be looking at this as the potential price target in the shorter term. Now, of course, what we were also watching was this consolidation formation in the context that we already had this massive pump. You know, just a few days ago on April the 9th, we saw prices shoot up on here. So we can also treat this falling wedge pattern as a sort of bull flag type structure, where if we see a clear breakout to the upside, we would be looking at this as the price target. Now, of course, that could send Onyxcoin here to up to 4 cents in the shorter term. Now, although it looks like it's been quite unlikely at the moment, given the fact that the prices have barely moved and that the trading volume is still quite low here, just remember that these things can happen out of nowhere. Just look at how we saw that April 9 pump here just basically come out from nowhere. Of course, we saw the prices really just not doing all too much just before this breakout occurred. And as you can see, the trading volume also seemingly came out of nowhere. It wasn't a slow build up to this moment. It just seemed like on the shorter term, out of nowhere, we saw this massive pump. So I'm not ruling anything out here on Onyxcoin. I do think if we start to see a pickup in trading volume, we could really start to see prices rising up to these upper levels here in the next few days. And so that's the first of the good news I have for you guys. Now, of course, also looking at the structure that we are seeing here on Onyxcoin, we also have a set of higher lows on the price, which I do like. We've seen that since that low we made that at 1.65 cents, every single time we've seen a nice little pump here on Onyxcoin and a subsequent drop, the low has got higher. Over here, we saw a low of 1.73 cents. And now, as we started to break out past this upper resistance here, we can see we've had a retest of this resistance and we slightly bounced off of it. So basically, we should get a decision here on Onyxcoin pretty soon, in my opinion. I'm thinking within 24 hours, we're going to see what Onyxcoin wants to do. Are we going to start seeing this up move that we've been promised from this falling wedge? Or are we going to see a lack of trading volume over the Easter weekend and prices start to fall back down on here? Of course, this little triangle, in my opinion, is one of great importance because, as you can see, it's keeping Onyxcoin in this, because essentially this little triangle here gives Onyxcoin quite a quick deadline as to what it's going to do in the near future. Of course, as you can see, this triangle actually ends tomorrow sometime during the day, so Onyxcoin has to make its mind up whether we're going to start on a new, more bullish trajectory, something like this, or whether we're just going to slip down like this and see the prices start to fall back into the previous falling wedge type pattern that we had. Of course, if we see the bullish case scenario, that gives us the motive to get to up to 4.1 cents here on Onyxcoin. That would be very bullish. And if we do slip down below this support here, then it's also quite likely that we see the prices fall back down into this falling wedge type structure, which should invalidate it, and we could see prices, in my opinion, hit 1.5 cents as the next level of support. So this is a very important shorter term triangle. We can also see its importance by the fact that the MACD on the 1 hour chart is also giving us a very similar triangle pattern. We can see that on the MACD, we've also got the same triangle pattern. And when we see a breakout on the price and it's kind of accompanied by the MACD as well, that should be a clear sign to us that we've seen indeed a breakout either to the upside or to the downside of a shorter term triangle. So essentially, in summary, what I'm seeing here on the shorter term is a bullish price target of 4.1 cents. If we see a clear breakout within the next few hours, if the prices start to fall below this triangle, then we could be locked in a bearish trend for the next few days. Of course, what we're seeing on the longer term as well supports this theory, because as you can see, the MACD at the moment is still showing us that we've got bullish momentum, but it is drying up quite a bit. So if we are going to continue this uptrend, we need to see it sooner rather than later. Of course, if we take January as an example, we started to see that momentum fade a bit on this first pump here when we got to that 1 cent region. As you can see, after the first pump, we got to this 1 cent region, we consolidated, and the momentum dried up a little bit. But whilst the momentum was still bullish, we managed to make this second pump. Now, of course, we could have had another pump here on Onyxcoin, but it didn't happen because momentum dried out too much. And by this point, we started to get sell signals from the MACD, and that's when we started on this 3-month-long downtrend. So if we're going to see a pump here, we're going to need to see that within the next few days at the very latest. Now, the good news again for this pump is the fact that if we have a look at Bitcoin, guys, this is getting me excited because I've been monitoring this sort of resistance here. Because I've been monitoring this resistance here on Bitcoin. It's been in play for the last 3 months. And if I just go on the 1 hour chart, the Bitcoin price is really compressing once again with this resistance up here and this support down here. Of course, this support is extremely significant, the one that I am just going to hover for you guys right now, because this has been in play since 2023. Bitcoin lost it for a little while and it has reclaimed it, and now we are compressing between that support and that resistance I showed you. And soon we have to get a decision on Bitcoin as to what it's going to do. Of course, the deadline for that is literally in just over 2 days. So the decision here on Bitcoin could coincide with a decision here on Onyxcoin. If Bitcoin breaks out of its resistance there, I do expect there to be quite a nice rally here, a quick rally on Bitcoin. And of course, that's going to drive the prices on Onyxcoin and plenty of other cryptos higher. And that's going to drive the price on Onyxcoin and many other cryptos a lot higher. Of course, we're also seeing similar resistances on other cryptos. For example, if I show you XRP, once again, XRP is seeing something very similar right now. Of course, we've had this long-term resistance here on XRP, which has been keeping the prices in some sort of downtrend. And once again, price is tantalizingly close to breaking out from this resistance. On top of that as well, is really right by its moving averages right now. So we're seeing a lot of compression in the Bitcoin and XRP prices. And if we see a breakout from these, that could be enough to trigger another pump here on XCN. So that is an exciting prospect here. But of course, like I say, we're going to know soon enough whether we're going to see another breakout or whether we're just going to see a more gradual decline before we get that opportunity to see another breakout. So of course, at the moment, that's my shorter term view here on XCN. In the longer term though, I am, as I say, still extremely bullish. At the end of the day, if I just zoom out on this chart, just have a look at how much progress we've made here on XCN. It's obviously quite easy to get lost in the shorter term price action, but if you just zoom out a bit and look at XCN on a multi-year time frame, look at how much ground we've made since mid 2024, for example. We're still up by this much, 1,400% since mid 2024. I can tell you this, not many other cryptos can say that about themselves. XCN is still a very unique coin with such a strong community here. And of course, whether the prices in the shorter term decide to go down a little bit more, or if we get that second pump, I'm still beyond blown with how amazingly well XCN is doing in the longer term. Of course, I don't think the top is in for XCN this bull run. I do have much higher price targets here for XCN, and they fall along these Fibonacci levels. And the reason I use these Fib levels to predict the price target here on XCN is because XCN really respects these ones as places of support and resistance. So if I just circle the bottom here of this downtrend and the top of this pump we had in April, we can see that the fib levels basically were tested to a T there when we saw this price move. So using it, we can predict that the price target for XCN in 2025, if the conditions are right here in crypto, for example, we see extreme greed return into crypto, then I predict that we could see anywhere between this 1.41 fib there, which is at roughly 17 to 18 cents, all the way to this ambitious target of 1.618 here, which lies at roughly 32 to 33 cents. Of course, 1.414 fib is also the previous high here for XCN, the previous all-time high. So this should see quite a lot of seller pressure as prices do get up to this region in 2025. So that's why I speculate that that could be a good price target for us. But if we get to that level and there's still a lot of momentum, then of course, next target there sits at 32 to 33 cents. So those are my longer term price predictions here. If you are a longer term holder and you're holding here on XCN and you're starting to feel a little bit worried about the shorter term price action, just don't worry too much about it. Go on the 1 day chart and just zoom out and just look at how much progress we've still made here on this. Because honestly, guys, on the longer term, XCN is one of the best looking charts that I've seen here in crypto this bull run. So of course, if you are holding for the longer term, just sit back and relax. Of course, if you are a holder here in XCN and you're not yet staking, be sure to check out this video up on your screen right now telling you on how to stake your XCN. It basically gives you free passive income for the XCN you are just going to hold anyway. For example, if you had $1,000 and you staked it, by the end of the year you would get an extra $300 just completely passively like that. So it's definitely a good thing to do if you plan to hold for the longer term. Otherwise, guys, that's pretty much what I wanted to say in this video. It was just quite a quick price update for the Easter weekend. I probably won't be making a video tomorrow because, I'm celebrating Easter on that day. So of course, if you do celebrate Easter, have a great Easter, guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video.